Hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast, Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Dynamite, December 20th, 2023 edition, a holiday bash edition of Dynamite. And this episode of Dynamite saw the continuation of the Continental Classic Gold League, and they have pretty much wrapped that tournament up. Next week is the semi-final match with a triple threat match to determine who goes on from the Gold League to World's End. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action. Starting with Strickland versus Roosh, and Strickland would up his point total and defeat Roosh in the opener for the show. Toro Blanco continued to highlight his aggression and tenacity, a trademark of his in-ring performance throughout the tournament, while Strickland continues to sell the shoulder injury that has been a staple of his matches since Full Gear. A great opener to the show. It featured strong in-ring action from two of the hottest competitors on the roster, and set Strickland on a collision course with John Moxley and Jay White. We'll get into how that one happened, but nice to see Swerve bounce back here after that loss to Moxley. Granted, I don't think it was in doubt, but certainly it was a surprise last week to see him lose. And Roosh had himself quite the performance in the tournament here. Shame that he came up short, but yeah, Swerve was gonna make it to the finals. That was for sure. Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal, and these guys have been partners and opponents so often throughout their careers at Ring of Honor, and they know how to put on a show together in the ring. This was a good competitive match that saw Briscoe throw caution to the air at one point and sail over the top rope onto his opponent. Lethal weathered that burst, but ultimately succumbed to the Jay Driller, and Briscoe earned a victory in 3 points, which, yeah, I guess are better than 0 points. Even though it doesn't really matter. It's nice to see at the very least that these guys compete, but there was no reason for this match. And even with the idea that Lethal might be splitting from his current group, it's disappointing that he ended the tournament shut out of points. And that is the issue with a tournament like this. You put together a field with great competitors, but ultimately you can look at it right away and you can tell who's not going to win it, who is going to win it based on booking, and booking had not been favorable for Briscoe or Lethal, so you knew right away neither one of these guys, in comparison to guys like Moxy and Strickland and Jay White, that they weren't really going to do anything. And unfortunately they didn't. Jay Lethal lost every single match, and Briscoe, well, he won one match. So where these guys go from here, who knows. Commander versus Roderick Strong. And Strong is continuing his crusade to convince his best friend by proxy, Samoa Joe, and those around him that MJF is indeed the devil. But before that, he battled Commander in a strong match that saw Commander throw everything he had at Strong, including his aerial arsenal. Strong would fight through all that and deliver the end of Heartache for the win. Strong's determination to convince everybody that MJF is a devil suggests that he has something to hide, or he simply wants to ruin the reputation of the world champion, considering how integral of a part he plays in the story involving MJF and his best friend Adam Cole. The first option appears more likely, and the more I think about it, the more it would make sense. If MJF is not the devil, then Roderick Strong or Wardlow, even. I would think either one of those guys, Wardlow or Roderick Strong, could be the devil, but Strong might have a better case for it than Wardlow. Regardless, though, I hope that they're planning to do this reveal shortly, because while it has been a solid story to follow along with, at some point you just gotta kind of rip the mask off and just get the reveal over with. There's only so long you can drag this out, and it feels like it's kind of reached that point where this question, this story of who's under the mask, it feels like it's kind of nearing the back end of it. Then the main event, John Moxley versus Switchblade Jay White, and White ensured that his involvement in the conclusion of the Gold League would continue after defeating Moxley in a hotly contested main event. White capitalized on a hobbled opponent, targeting Moxley's injured left knee before stunning him with a Blade Runner that put him down just long enough to secure the win. The outcome sets up a triple threat match between White, Moxley, and Strickland on next week's show for the right to compete against the winner of the Blue League at World's End. A post-match attack on Moxley's knee creates doubt about his ability to be 100% and also ability to win the match. So Yeah, it would. I think it would have been more interesting to do Strickland versus Moxy in a rematch, because Moxy won the first one-on-one match between these two. So to have the finals end up with these two guys running it back again would have been something. But Jay White here, I'm glad to see that they were at least willing to give him a spot in this match. But I gotta say, the knee injury is an easy out for Mox, so I think Strickland wins it. In conclusion, Wednesday's show did what many of the recent episodes of Dynamite have been doing, and that is advancing the Continental Classic, doing a better minimum for the women's division, and creating uninspiring challengers, and focused heavily on the MJF World title scene. The wrestling was good and great. There was very little note that went on between Rio and Tony Storm that would spark interest in their upcoming match. So yeah, Rio's the number one contender for the AEW Women's World title, because apparently there's nobody else that AEW could find for that match at the pay-per-view. And the stuff with MJF and Smojo felt more like a placeholder than a segment of significance. With that said, the continued elevation of Swerve Strickland and his confrontation with MJF was great, and teased a potential big money match down the road for the two of them. This feels like a show that's getting back to its roots, but it's becoming clear that there are not many creative irons in the fire for multiple stars beyond the tournament setup. For now, though, the shows are easy to watch and feature some great wrestling. So yeah, there are some changes to be made, but let's not be too negative about AEW, and let's just enjoy and appreciate the fact that we are able to watch AEW and watch some of these competitors compete. Obviously, yes, there are things that are going to be changed that should be changed, and hopefully those changes will be achieved. But again, let's just try to enjoy what we have and not get too caught up in the negativity and the things that we don't like. And with that will conclude this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.